All right, Miles, let's talk about the Raiders here for a second. Look, it's obvious the Raiders season did not go the way anybody expected it to, but the Raiders are not lying, resting. They're preparing to make big moves in the offseason to address some of their bigger issues. Obviously, number one involves the most important position on the field. That is, of course, the quarterback position. And you have some huge news on a developing story with the Raiders that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Before I hand over to you, Miles, Raider Nation, we want to hear from you in the comment section below. Obviously, going into the offseason, you have some needs to address, some positions to get better at before you prepare for 2023. Let us know in the comments what position you want the Raiders organization to really address this offseason, whether in the draft, free agency, or via trade. Let us know in the comment section below what position you want them to upgrade at, that they need to upgrade at and get better at it. And while you're down there, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It really helps us out, really helps us grow our channel, and gets all the Raiders content. And we do a lot of Raiders content sent right to you whenever we publish it. But Miles, give us the latest out of Vegas.
Obviously, Nick, they're going to pick the quarterback position, mainly because that's what today's story is about. Derek Carr has said his goodbyes. The Raiders are, by all intents and purposes, moving on from Carr. Whether they cut him, trade him, who knows what the option will be, but he will not be around. And now that the season is over, the Tom Brady plan has become into effect, Nick. And I got a very interesting quote here. People might want to know, how serious are the Raiders about going after Tom Brady? And Sports Illustrated's Hondo Carpenter has said a lot of interesting stuff, and I want to give you this quote here. He says the Raiders' chances of signing Tom Brady after the season are around 80%. At the very least, it sounds like the Raiders have decided Brady is their top choice to replace Derek Carr. Now, here's the kicker, Nick. He said, I will say this. If Tom Brady wants to be a Raider, the odds are now 100%. So if he doesn't want to, 80%. But if he wants to, guaranteed he will be a Raider if he wants to come try and play in Las Vegas, Nick. So that is all very interesting. I think, the McDaniels tie-in, that's one of the key negotiating factors people are talking about. The show of Jarrett Stidham in the offense, Tom Brady's former backup. What could he do in this offense? Very talented players. Devontae Adams, very enticing guy to play with. What do you think about all this, Nick? And what do you think about the high likelihood of Tom Brady coming to Las Vegas?
So when you backtrack a little bit to last offseason, when the Raiders were negotiating with Derek Carr and his extension, one of the things I think has really worked out is they kind of gave Derek Carr, this season was a one-year flyer the way it worked out. Because looking into the salary cap situation for the Raiders, if they cut or trade Derek Carr, they save just under $30 million in cap space. They add $30 million in cap space. That's huge, especially when you consider, Mize, that they already have $21 million in free cap space. They can go after Tom Brady in this case and give him whatever he wants. He wants a one-year deal, fully guaranteed, $50 million. No problem. They can afford it. Like, I've never seen a team that is in this situation where they can offload a veteran quarterback and just open up a blank check to get another quarterback in right away. And it seems like it could potentially happen. And look, obviously there's situation to work out with Tampa. What would the Raiders have to give up to get Brady's rights and things like that? I don't know how expensive or cheap it would be. I think it'd probably be a little cheaper than people think, just because Brady's getting up there in age and he'd probably only play for 1 or 2 years, or knowing Brady'd play for another decade or so. But I just think it makes sense, right? Obviously, you brought up the McDaniels connection there. The Raiders have a lot of the kind of players on offense that Brady likes, like a Renfro slot receiver, a talented athletic tight end. It just seems to be a good fit. Obviously, going out west, going back to the AFC, that's kind of where, obviously, Brady's a California kid. He's from the AFC, spent 2 decades in that conference. It seems to make more sense. He seems to be a natural fit. And the Raiders, even more than I thought just a few weeks ago, just have money to blow on Brady. It just seems like something that just is going to happen, just the way everything is looking right now.
Yeah, Nick, I think that's really good. And, I think there's another thing in here. Brady seems to have Mahomes' number at times when they've played, especially in the playoffs. But, that could be a factor. They play the Chiefs a couple times a year. So, that'll be enticing for Brady to battle out some of the best young quarterbacks in the league, kind of assert his dominance with superior offensive weapons. But, I just think this is a really good point. And I think that Davis really, for some reason, he really wants Brady. In this article, a little bit further down, it goes on saying how Davis says he's wanted Brady since 2020, and he just never was able to get all the deals to fall together. Obviously, Brady went to the Buccaneers. Then there was talks last year of Brady leaving the Buccaneers, going to the Dolphins. That whole deal left as well. But in that time period, we do remember a point of contention talking about potentially Gronk and Brady going to the Raiders. That the story was broke by Dana White, the UFC owner, and that whole thing, it kind of got blown over by the Dolphins thing, but there was a tie to the Raiders last season as well. So I don't think this is a very crazy story. I think it's very realistic, and I really want to see how all of this plays out because the whole Tom Brady saga is always very interesting to watch.